and welcome back to the CSA Zero Trust Summit. My name is Chris Niggle. I'm the Regional CSO for the Americas at Okta. As a participant in the CSA Zero Trust Advancement Center and in my role at Okta, I have an opportunity to interact with our customers in all industries who are on their own zero trust journeys, just like yourselves. Each organization has their own priorities, goals, and challenges. Common among all implementations, however, is identity. And that's because identity plays a central role in zero trust architectures. Whether you're looking at the pillar model from CISA or the identity fabric from Gartner, many organizations find their zero trust journeys starting with identity. A centralized identity management system sits at the heart of your zero trust solution and enables you to manage access through controls and validation of the user, device identity, as well as adding signals from external sources. The ideal zero trust goal of ensuring the right people have access to the right data at the right time is only possible when the user and device lifecycle is managed, and appropriate automation and oversight is put into place. This goal requires participation and implementation of multiple technologies across all areas of the organization and requires dedicated budget and resources. And like any other project of this scale, as security and IT leaders, we must be able to clearly identify and communicate how this expenditure of time and resources will benefit the organization. So today, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about that budget journey. And we're going to start with a project you're all likely familiar with, multi-factor authentication. Because we all know the importance and the value of multi-factor authentication, while we are also all still struggling to deploy it. While zero-day attacks make the headlines and capture attention, research in the 2024 Verizon Data Breach Report shows us that attackers aren't breaking in, they're logging in. Even with the large-scale exploitation of the MOVEit file transfer vulnerability last year, a majority of the breaches in 2024 were attributed to credential theft of some kind. Now, one would assume that with this knowledge, multi-factor authentication, and strong MFA at that would be commonplace. And yet, in Okta's recent Secure Sign-In Trends report, we identified that while over 91% of administrators have MFA in their Okta tenant, only 66% of non-administrators had MFA enabled on their accounts. Though vendors like Snowflake, GitHub, and Okta, and others are rolling out mandatory MFA programs for privileged users, there is still a large section of our user community that is not protected. And the numbers for strong phishing-resistant authentication is even lower. In that same Secure Sign-In Trends report, we see that 95% of Okta customers are still using passwords. And phishing-resistant authenticators such as FastPass and WebAuthn, which can protect against attacks favored by threat actors such as Scattered Spider, are used by single-digit percentages of customers. Now, there is good news on the MFA front. We are seeing continued year-over-year increases in MFA adoption. Government and education sectors increased by 7% and 5% respectively, and we're hoping to see further increases as CISA guidance, recent US executive orders, and updates to global compliance frameworks all contribute to driving adoption across multiple sectors. Now, an executive order or compliance program change does not create its own budget, making finance one of the major headwinds to implementing strong multi-factor authentication. Another factor in slowing MFA adoption is the fact that security budgets are continuing to cool. The IANS Security Budget Benchmark Report found that security budgets increased by 8% in 2024, but adjusting for inflation, that's only a 5% growth. At the same time, the cost of a data breach continues to climb, now up to 4.88 million, according to a recent IBM study. So, like many other areas of the organization, we're being asked to protect more with less. Now, speaking about doing more, MFA is not the only priority security and IT leaders have. These tightening funds need to support other high-profile zero trust projects, including securing APIs, privileged access management, and expanding the use of single sign-on. When we put these factors together, we see that the security budget landscape is changing. Security can no longer be seen as a cost center. We need to be able to tie security outcomes to business outcomes and demonstrate the benefits of improving security to the rest of the business. This is a common discussion that I have with my peers. More than ever, CISOs have to look at using security as a tool to improve access to information, speed development, and build customer confidence and engagement. Now, one tool that I've found to be helpful is to identify and collect key metrics that an improved identity posture can affect. Locate and explore where identity can save hard costs for your organization and bring that information to your leadership and your board. For example, when applications are tied together with single sign-on and users have one password, or better yet, 0 passwords, help desk tickets for password resets can go down. Think of the cost savings not only for the help desk tech that has to work those issues, but also lost employee productivity while they're waiting for their factor to be reset. When applications are provisioned using just-in-time methods based on group memberships, and users have immediate access to the tools they need to do their jobs, the dwell time between provision requests and access is shortened. This directly improves employee productivity. In my previous experience as an Okta administrator, this was a huge cost savings for our sales team, because every day a sales team member was waiting for access was a day that they were behind on their quota. And identification of unused resources, such as privileged accounts or even entire SaaS services, can be done using identity security posture management tools. This saves hard license costs. What applications are you paying for, but your employees aren't using? Now, metrics and cost savings isn't limited to your employees. For those of us in business to consumer based organizations, customer experience is a key metric that your engineering teams are tracking. So why shouldn't security? Centralized identity management can help here as well. When you think about your own use of online shopping, what makes a good experience? For example, how does your registration process operate? And are you asking for too much information at the start, driving customers away? The ability to do on-demand profile building reduces the amount of effort for your customers to set up and register their initial profile, and they can get access to shopping more quickly. You can then ask them to add additional information when it's relevant, such as an address or a birth date. Also, think about how many times you have abandoned a shopping cart online because the login process was too difficult to finalize a purchase. Is it worth going through the password reset flow and digging into your email? Or is it just easier to buy the widget from someone else? Or perhaps the vendor wanted you to create a new profile, but you knew you already had one somewhere and just can't find it. Or maybe you clicked the checkout as guest button rather than guess your old password or wait for a password reset email to show up. I know those are all things that I do. Each of these actions result in lost engagement and lost value for your organization. And these are all metrics that you can collect and improve with identity. Now, we call this business value analytics. And it can be a huge benefit to IT and security organizations looking to justify budget for zero trust projects by tying those projects to real organizational benefits, not just the specter of avoiding a data breach. As an example, we assisted a mid-sized financial organization in collecting similar metrics across an identity project, and were able to find real cost savings. The cost reduction in unused service license recovery alone was able to pay for the project. This organization was able to additionally save costs in help desk interactions, reduction in calls from their customers, the avoidance of fraud, plus the additional soft value of having happier customers who weren't waiting on hold to reset their credentials to get access to their own money. Talking about soft costs, don't forget to identify those metrics that capture the improvements in experience and security that your users will get from a zero trust program. For example, rolling out modern authentication methods such as WebAuthn or passkeys give your users a more secure option and a better user experience. We go into detail about this in our Secure Sign-In Trends report. You may also be able to develop a network effect that multiplies the value of your security program with a modern identity in zero trust architecture. Applications that support the Continuous Access Evaluation Protocol, or CAEP, along with the Shared Signals Framework, allow your cloud applications to talk to each other. So there is a change in the security posture. For example, CrowdStrike detects malicious software on an endpoint. With CAEP and SSF, user sessions and access to data can be terminated across all of your cloud applications, from Workday to Slack, preventing an attacker from moving laterally within your cloud organization. Now, there are challenges associated with moving to this modern identity structure, as protocols like CAEP and SSF aren't yet widely adopted. And so we've teamed up with the OpenID Foundation and multiple other leading cloud providers, including Google, Microsoft, and Ping, to create the first unified identity security standard, IPSIE, or the Interoperability Profile for Secure Identity in the Enterprise. IPSIE will enhance end-to-end security across enterprise applications by delivering a unified framework for single sign-on, single log-out, application provisioning, and sharing threat signals. With IPSIE, the identity community is looking to help you build the next generation of identity-aware cloud applications. Now, IPSIE is brand new, so there will be some time before we can see real progress and adoption of that standard. In the meantime, there's a lot that we can do now to help protect our organizations at a tactical level. First, deploy strong authentication wherever possible, such as using device-bound credentials like WebAuthn or Okta FastPass. Use phishing-resistant authenticators wherever you can. And remember that the threat actors are targeting your help desk and your customer support teams too, not just your admins and privileged users. We commonly see threat actors using residential proxies or anonymizing services like Tor. There's little reason for your employees to be using these services for real work, so consider blocking those at the front door. As you look towards your technology strategy for 2025, invest in standards. Consider hardware that supports FIDO2 or WebAuthn biometrics in your hardware refresh cycles. Look for applications that support CAPE and SSF and participate in the IPSI standard development. Finally, think about how you can metric your user base and measure the impact that identity has in your organization. Capture those soft and hard costs to your business and use those metrics to demonstrate business value and productivity improvements through security programs. With these steps, you can make your organization more secure and more productive. At Okta, we do a lot of research around the impact of identity on productivity. So I'd like to close with a few resources that you can find online, including the 2024 Secure Sign-In Trends Report, information about how the Okta Secure Identity Commitment enables a zero trust model, and of course, information about the new IPSI standard with our partner, the OpenID Foundation. I hope that we've given you some ideas on how to fund your next zero trust project. And good luck. Enjoy the rest of the summit.